What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, back with Dilly Vanilli. We are here to preview the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2019. The Pittsburgh Steelers have kind of had a dramatic offseason. Antonio Brown, see ya, buddy. Le'Veon Bell, goodbye finally. It's a new Pittsburgh Steelers in 2019. Ben Roethlisberger is still there. Mike Tomlin is still there. The foundation is still in place, but this is a different team. And I'm excited to see how it will operate in 2019. Dilly Vanilli, What do you think of this team?
This is an interesting team. When I first was coming into this offseason, I thought, I don't know what to think about them. I don't really like them as a whole. I was concerned. I was getting a lot of questions. But as I looked at their schedule and as I let the offseason and the draft go through, I have changed my tune a little bit. And I have got to say that I like them a little bit more. My record for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season is 11-5. But it does not win their division, though. I have them as the 6th seed based on records and stuff like that, which I'll get into. I like this roster. I really like this roster after looking at it a little bit more. You got Juju Smith-Schuster. The question is he going to be a number one receiver? When AB was there and Juju was the number 2, AB would get double teamed, so he can go right there and get some easier targets. Now he's going to have that attention that AB has had for the last couple of years. Will he be able to do so? I think he'll do pretty well. We'll just have to see if he's the number one guy. Dante Moncrief comes into this offense, and I think he's a very underrated piece to this team. Eli Rogers, if they use him correctly as well, and James Washington, I really like. I know some people are not the biggest fan, including that guy over there. But
I'm not the biggest fan of James Washington. But one guy you didn't bring up is your boy Ryan Switzer, who I actually think they utilized quite well last year.
Ryan Switzer, in the slot role, he can go in there, give them some good yards. I like Ryan Switzer. All things considered, I still don't know why we got rid of him. But, he works well with this offense, and I think Ben Roethlisberger likes a lot of his receiver talent. He's going to be able to throw it around a lot more this year. And let's talk about Big Ben, the boy Big Ben. I think he's had a lot of really good seasons put together, and last year was a really exceptional year, in my opinion. I think he did really well for himself, and I like that he's going to have this kind of talent with him. The offensive line is pretty good. You got Villanueva, Ramon Foster, Marquise Pouncey, David Castro, a really solid offensive line, in my opinion. And their tight end situation is Vance McDonald going to step up because, he's good, but he's not great. He's not in that next tier of tight ends. We'll see what that happens. And James Conner. What can I say about James Conner? His first half was great. His second half was not. So we'll kind of have to see if he steps up into that role. Le'Veon Bell's not there anymore. He doesn't have to worry about that. So he is their number one guy. Let's see what he does. Defensively, got some pretty good talent here. I got to say, Cameron Hayward at the left defensive end position, pretty good. They drafted Isaiah Buggs in the 6th round, which I think they could use pretty well if necessary. But Dupree is pretty good, all things considered. Devin Bush, I love that they went and got Devin Bush. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, draft pick this season. They were so confident in getting that right linebacker, and they got him 100%. I'm glad that they got him because no Ryan Shazier. They needed to get somebody for a replacement for right now. Devin Bush is your guy. TJ Watt's still great. Secondary, I have questions about, but I like Terrell Edmonds. We'll kind of have to see how that goes for them. But overall, as a full team, I thought I had a lot more questions about them, and I actually really like what they're doing right now. No more Le'Veon Bell, no more AB. It's a new era for the Steelers. You still got Ben Roethlisberger, so there's still a little bit of that era, but they got a lot of really good young talent that I'm looking forward to seeing. I got them at 11-5, 6th seed in the AFC.
Wow, 11-5 is the 6th seed?
11-5 is the 6th seed. There's a lot of great talent this year, a lot of great teams.
For me, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that I've always believed in. I know Dilly Vanilli had that moment of, I don't know if they're going to be very good. But in 2019, I see the Pittsburgh Steelers at 10-6. I see them as the wild card team in the AFC North. I do not have them winning the division, although they possibly could. I believe it's between them and another team in the AFC North. You'll have to check out the rest of the previews. But I do really like the talent on this team. Of course, you brought up most of them. The offensive line, I think, is a top 5 unit in football. And you brought up James Conner, who, thanks to this offensive line, I don't really think it matters much who your running back is or who your primary running back is. He's going to produce and pick up yardage. James Conner, even if he's just an average running back, which he might be a little bit better than average, he might just be average. Who knows? I think he was pretty good in his moments last season. I don't think he's Le'Veon Bell by any means, but I think he can get it done as a starting running back in the NFL. Behind this offensive line, he'll do fine. He'll produce for you. I'm interested to see how they use Jalen Samuels as a receiver because he did have some nice moments, specifically against my team at the game that I was at, where he had over 100 yards. He had a couple receptions. He's a pretty good receiver out of the backfield, and we'll see how they use him and how they kind of spare him and Conner and use their snaps together. Is Samuels going to be the third down back? Is Conner going to be the primary guy all 3 downs? And Samuels just spells in for him and kind of is the change of pace back? Or is it more of a timeshare? So that's an interesting question. The receivers are obviously the most up in the air that they have been in a very long time. You have Juju Smith-Schuster. I believe in him. I think he's a number 1 receiver in the league. He's a top 15 guy in this league. Outside of that, though, who steps up at the number 2? Dante Moncrief, you brought him up. They obviously signed him for a reason. I think he'll come in and he'll play a role, specifically in the red zone. Eli Rogers is not a bad slot receiver, as is Ryan Switzer, kind of their chess piece, so to speak. A guy that can play a little bit of running back, a little bit of slot receiver, some punt returner. James Washington is the big question. Does he step up? And of course, they also addressed it in the 3rd round with Johnson as well. We'll see if he's anything in his rookie season. Again, receiver is a difficult position to pick up in your rookie season unless you're really a special guy. Tight end, I think, is really where they're going to get the most production for many seasons. Like, I don't think they've really had a tight end that's produced like Heath Miller in a very long time. Heath Miller had some seasons where he was really complimentary to like Hines Ward and Plaxico Burress and all the other receivers they had out there, Santonio Holmes. But this season, I think Vance McDonald's going to have a breakout year. I know it's kind of late to have a breakout year, but because Jesse James is gone, I think it allows Vance McDonald to become that clear-cut number 1 option at this position. I think also Antonio Brown leaving opens up some targets. He's been very efficient when he gets the ball in his hands. He's one of the best tight ends after the catch. So I think Vance McDonald will have a breakout season. That is my prediction for the offensive side of the ball. And Ben Roethlisberger, one of the greatest ever and a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I still think 5,000 yards last year, still playing at the peak of his play. Defensive line is very, very good. I agree with you. I think Isaiah Buggs, Tyson Alualu, these backups are solid behind them. Cameron Hayward, Javon Hargrave, Stephon Tuitt, one of the best trios on the D-line, especially for like a 3-4 system. They're one of the best and great against the run, good pass rushers. All 3 of them can each separately have the biggest impact in a game and take over a game, which I think is something that's unique to the Steelers. TJ Watt had an awesome season last year, kind of almost went overlooked a little bit. He had like 13 sacks. He's a very versatile player. He's coming into his own as one of these pass rushers in the NFL. Devin Bush, you can't overstate his impact to this defense when it comes to coverage, when it comes to run support, just the speed that he'll bring to the middle of the defense. As Michael Lombardi says, if your middle of your defense is slow, your defense is slow. So they haven't had a fast middle of their defense since Ryan Shazier went down. That's what Bush brings them here. Vince Williams, not a huge fan. Bud Dupree really needs to prove something this year or else he'll be out of that role next year. Steven Nelson was not a bad ad. I think Mike Hilton's underrated. Their corners aren't anything special, but there's no real true weakness at any of their 3 spots either. Terrell Edmonds and Sean Davis are extremely athletic, and if they can take a step up, this defense could truly be a top 10 unit. I think they're kind of on the borderline of a top 15, top 10 defense. I do think this will be the best defense they've had in a long time, like with consistency. Because the thing about the Steelers is they can have 1 week where they're awesome on defense and then another week where everybody's wide open. They can't stop the run. They're very inconsistent. Now, the Steelers are also a team that typically play down to their opponent. I don't know if that's Mike Tomlin or what that is, but they do typically lose to some opponents that they shouldn't lose to. So going over their schedule, to me, it's not overly difficult. They do play some tough teams like the Chargers, the Patriots. They play the NFC West, which won't be easy. And of course, they play the Browns twice and the Colts. But like, it's not the most difficult schedule I've seen them have before. I do think they can manage it. I think they can make the playoffs this year. They're definitely talented enough, balanced enough on both sides of the football that they can be a playoff team. I have them. I'm trying to figure out if I have them as the 5th or the 6th seed. I have them as the 6th seed in the AFC, but they are going to finish 10-6 for me. So we both see them as the 6th seed in the AFC, Dilly Vanilli. We both have them making the playoffs. It's rare that we agree on the Steelers, so let us know in the comment section below. Are we right on the money? Are we missing the target? Let us know. Gronk, spike that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's Mitch and Dylan. Peace out, guys.
Peace.